Your true test of love is how much you're able to realize that all of this around you right here is God and that all of it is love. That's the true test of your love. So that your love is unconditional and indiscriminate. So that you don't make exceptions for like, well, I love this, but I hate that guy who called me a bad name, or I hate that politician, or I hate that group of foreigners, or I hate those immigrants, or I hate those guys who are stealing stuff. You see, that's discriminate love. A true test of your love is non-judgment. How non-judgmental can you be? The realization that all judgment is delusion. It's all partial. The universe, at its highest level, doesn't judge itself, doesn't hate itself, doesn't discriminate against itself. From the universal perspective, everything within the universe is perfect. It's all good. The universe loves itself unconditionally. You, on the other hand, that's another matter. That takes work. You might say that one definition of spirituality is that spirituality is the art of love. Spirituality is a set of practices and concepts which help you to increase your capacity to love, with the ultimate aim to get to an infinite capacity for love. That's true spirituality, if you're doing it properly. But of course, the problem is that you're not really capable of love, are you? Because you're too damn selfish. And this is where it's really useful to create the distinction between conditional versus unconditional love. Conditional love is what normally people think of as love. It's love of the things that are good, love of the things that serve the ego's agenda. The ego only knows how to love conditionally. The ego simply loves the things that help it, and it hates those things which don't help it. It's really that simple. The ego is a creating of a boundary within reality and saying that everything within this boundary is extra special and important. That's me. Everything outside this boundary is not me, and I don't really care about that stuff because I care so much about me. But see, that's the very definition of partial, discriminate love. You love this, but you hate other stuff around you. So what prevents love? It's the ego's fear of dissolution. Because the ego is so attached to maintaining this boundary that it's created around itself, which it now identifies with. That is what ego is. It's this boundary. So the ego now is in this predicament where it has to spend its whole life protecting and defending this boundary. And so the ego gets so attached to this process of defending this boundary that it's constantly afraid of this boundary dissolving. Because if this boundary dissolves, then I die. And death is the worst possible thing, the ego thinks. From the ego's perspective, that's the case. And so the ego is not able to love everything, because if the ego loved everything, then this boundary would dissolve. And that's the biggest thing that the ego fears. So when I tell you to love evil, you say, Leo, I don't want to love evil. That's bad for me. That's right. It's very threatening. And now you understand why love is so difficult. And now you understand that why we need this whole thing called life, this love simulator, is to train you that actually it's okay to go beyond yourself, to let yourself go. It's okay to accept the full magnitude of what you are. What you are is so big and so magnificent, so infinite, that actually it's scary to accept what you really are, everything that exists. It's too much, it's too big. You don't feel comfortable that way. You feel comfortable being small and defending your smallness. But of course, this smallness is fundamentally false. So actually, contrary to what many materialists think, which is that they think that love is somehow a feeling, which is not a fact, and it's not objective, and that, Leo, love is just some romantic, sentimental notion, it has nothing to do with truth. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Love has everything to do with truth. And your notion of separation, that's what's false. You loving your little ego, that's what is false. What is the opposite of love? It's egotism, narcissism, fear, hate, judgment, unconsciousness, violence, intolerance, manipulation, tribalism, exploitation, power games, ignorance, closed-mindedness, and division. You cannot love so long as you're preoccupied with food, sex, survival, status, success, money, addiction, drugs, ideology, politics, religion, or logic. So all of these things need to be dropped. But of course, the ego is so attached to all of these things. Who wants to give up their ideology? Does the Christian want to give up his ideology? Does the Muslim want to give up his ideology to truly be loving? Does the materialist, does the atheist want to give up his ideology to be truly loving? No, because he thinks he's right. And this arrogance is exactly what stands in the way of being all loving. Because the atheist loves to hate the religious person. And the religious person loves to hate the atheist. And the Muslim loves to hate the Christian. And the Christian loves to hate the Muslim. And the Republican loves to hate the Democrat. And the Democrat loves to hate the Republican. And on it goes. The rich people love to hate the poor people. And the poor people love to hate the rich people. The white people hate the black people. And the black people hate the white people. This creating of division is what the ego does. That's its modus operandi. And it's such a powerful force. You understand? This is your whole life we're talking about. Your whole life hinges on this. Fundamentally, the reason you can't just love everything all the time is because it's too threatening to your life. Your very life is at stake. See? And what this simulator is trying to teach you is that you need to let go. Let go of attachment to life. And that's the scariest thing that there is to do. That's why the simulator is needed.